All right, welcome to another episode of the True Grit Podcast.
Hell yeah.
And I'm so excited to be sitting here with Dave and Ben. I think I've talked a little bit about Ben. He's a facilitator here at Dreamglade sometimes, and Dave is one of his friends who's also a Dreamglade guest. So, such a pleasure talking with you all the time, and I know everyone's going to love hearing your story. So, tell us a little bit about, like, how you got here, why you came here, what your state was like before coming here, and then a little bit about your journey and how you're feeling now.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having us on the podcast.
Yeah,
this is awesome. Yes, so I am a first-timer, and this experience so far has been the most significant experience of my life. And so I heard about ayahuasca a few years ago when Ben started to, when he began his journey. And at that point, it was a foreign concept, something that I had honestly never even heard about before. And it was something that he had undertaken to deal with a lot of stuff that he had been going through at that point in his life. Many things for a long time at that point. And he told me a bit about it. And one day he just came over and he was cleansing. He was getting ready for the experience. And even at that point, it was kind of jarring because there's so many things that we had been used to doing together, drinking beers, smoking weed, and he was able to just cut that out, and it just seemed like he was super focused on kind of healing some deep things that he had really been wanting to work on. And already at that point, I was just kind of blown away by his level of dedication to it. And then at one point, he dipped to Peru, and that was the beginning of like a very intense and powerful journey that I was kind of just kind of a spectator to. And over time, he just he grew in ways that I just that it impressed me so deeply.
Thank you.
And just kind of seeing his growth was just really remarkable. And I think eventually this thing that I've heard about that seemed really scary at the time began to become more of a reality. It just got closer and closer to me, and I eventually, I guess, with the help of his encouragement, decided to take the leap and reserve a space at Dreamglade. And so for the past however many months, I've been really trying to get ready for my experience here. I've been feeling intense levels of depression and sadness and a weight that I had never felt before. And I can't tell if it was just my brain chemistry changing, if it was just the particular situation in my life at this current moment. I think it was probably a combination of a lot of different things. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've carried into this experience. Honestly, putting a lot of pressure on it to to save me from myself and all the things that I've been going through.
Because you've been feeling things like that for a long time, right?
Yeah, I've been feeling pretty sad for many years, and I don't think I've ever addressed any of these things. I've never been able to face them. So
Would you say those feelings kind of like crescendoed and intensified a little bit since you'd booked your time here, or was it kind of like the same that it had been for a really long time?
they were definitely crescendoing. And I've heard that, I've been told that when you
When you sign up.
yeah, when you sign up, that's when the medicine starts to have an effect. And I didn't know what that meant, but being here, it's all coming to light. It all makes a lot of sense, because I think that's when you realize that there really is something that you're trying to work on. And it really brings to light that there is something to work on, but that there might be a chance to do something about it. So that's just that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
right
and it's interesting that that's what was happening for you in the months leading up to here before you signed up, because one of the things that
Hold on, you have a hair in your beard. One of my hairs.
Thank you for de-hairing me. All right, now that I'm a little less hairy, this will be a little bit easier to explain. One of the things that we talk about a lot here is that a lot of times people do feel really intense, uncomfortable emotions, either right before they come or a lot of times during the experience, during the ceremony, or just during their time here. And one of the ways that we frame it for them, because we've just seen that this is true, is that that's the feeling of those emotions kind of leaving. They need to, for something to come out of you and leave, it has to kind of be brought up to the surface.
Right.
So a lot of those emotions have probably been sitting deep inside you for a really long time. And like you were just saying, when you sign up, things kind of start happening even long before you drink ayahuasca. And that could have been the process of those emotions kind of just coming up to the surface. Right. You started feeling them a lot more. You also stopped smoking weed for the first time in a really long time.
Yeah, 15 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
And that'll definitely bring up some repressed emotions.
Yeah, because I went through a similar thing. When you stop using like weed or alcohol, you have to deal with the stuff you've been escaping and numbing. And
Totally.
It's like, oh, here it is. Here's all the feelings I didn't want to feel the first time. So yeah, when you got here, you were feeling a little nervous. I mean, we felt like we already knew you because Ben has talked so much about you. So I already loved you.
Oh.
But when you got here, you're a little nervous.
Yeah.
Didn't know what to expect.
Right.
Didn't have a couple, like there was, I think Monday and Wednesday didn't have like crazy takeoff nights. Maybe you're getting a little frustrated. But then Friday happened.
Right. Totally. Yeah. So I came in with a great deal of doubt. Just not being sure if anything was going to change for me, not really trusting in the process, which I guess I didn't really know too much about at that point. So Monday and Wednesday were, I would say, lighter ceremonies, just getting more in tune with the space, the Maloka, getting used to and meeting the center itself, which is absolutely gorgeous. And I think from the very beginning, I expected everything to change drastically. I was expecting profound, out of this dimension trips and to meet God and either kiss God on the cheek or have her just slap me in the mouth.
Or both.
Yeah, or both. And that didn't happen. And I was feeling a certain amount of frustration. I would say a lot of frustration, because I just felt so desperate to get out of whatever I'd been feeling, to get out of myself, to really make some big changes that I've really been wanting to make for a long time. But I didn't get that. And when I expressed that, you know, Drew told me, trust in the process. Just because you're not having these crazy balls to the wall trip doesn't mean that it's not doing something. And then, yes, Friday happened. Had a really intense trip. Went to what I can only describe as the source world, the origin of all creation, and where everything goes to when it's over. And it was probably the most profound experience I've ever had on any type of substance before. And my immediate thought when I went there was how amazing that this is where we've all come from. Definitely an overwhelming feeling of being at home. It was this place of shapes beyond shapes, of colors beyond colors. And I thought about my dad, my grandma, my dog, my uncle, everyone who in my life was there at some point, and now I won't see again until I return to that place. And I felt like they were all safe. I felt like they were all home there, and that if that's where they went, then that's amazing, and that's okay. So I really felt moved by that trip, by that experience. That particular ceremony made me realize how crazy it is that anything exists in this earthly realm, that it could have been anything, and it's not. Like, the world that we have is so beautiful because it's so random, and and every little experience that we have is super important. Every emotion that we have, it all means so much because it just is, you know. Yeah, and it defines it. Like, all of this is part of this really brief experience that we call life, and that there's something so much larger behind it. So yeah, that was absolutely.
Dave on the walkway
mind-bending.
was amazing because he was just like on the walkway by the bathrooms after the ceremony, just like going on these amazing rants about stuff. Like, he'd be like, I mean, like, everything's a miracle. Just think about even getting a parking ticket.
Yeah.
Like, you get a parking ticket. It's just a piece of paper on your card. You have to, like, go and, like, pay this parking ticket with, like, some numbers that you have in the sky that are in your bank account. And then you pay the government. And he's just, like, going on about, like, how amazing everything is. Like, all these mundane things. Like, and then he's, like, in the dentist.
Yeah.
Like, there's just, like, someone who knows everything about teeth. And, like, you just go to this person. And he's just like, oh, you have cavities. I know exactly what to do. And it was so awesome.
That's a really good ayahuasca ceremony. If
Yeah.
it can make you appreciate getting a parking ticket and going to the dentist, that is the power of the sacred medicine of ayahuasca.
It was so amazing. Yeah.
Hell
And
yeah.
I'm-
I refer to that. I don't know if I've referred to it like this out loud, but in my head, I refer to that kind of, because that's a ceremony that we hear people have a lot, where they realize, oh, I'm in this crazy place, like you said, where colors are beyond colors and shapes beyond shapes, and this is home. Actually, this is where we all come from. We all go. It's the soul ceremony, like, you know, the movie Soul.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
that movie kind of encapsulates the way that I kind of think it all works. They really hit it out of the park with that one.
It's such a good movie.
Because yeah, it takes a lot of the heaviness out of everything from parking tickets to death. And like you said to me a little while ago while we were on the swim platform, it doesn't just trivialize things and make everything like not matter. It almost makes it matter more. Because like nothing is that big of a deal, because there's this beautiful place that we come from and that we're going to go back to. But B, the fact that all of this exists and all of its like realness and imperfectness is such a miracle. And there are people who know everything about teeth, and there are there are fucking crazy plants that you drink and shoot you out into like this infinite realm, and you go, oh shit, I forgot about this. It's pretty special. That's awesome. I love that you had that experience.
And another reason I wanted to have you on the podcast is because I feel like your experience is it covers so many things, and we haven't even gotten to all your other ceremonies, because Dave's been here for 2 weeks. So we're just at week 1 right now, but I'm going to pause here because it's like, it's so normal for people not to feel that much on ayahuasca for the first 2 nights, or even like ever. We have people come here for 3 ceremonies, don't get much. And one reason I wanted to bring this up is like that's a thing that happens that people aren't talking about on podcasts or YouTube, and then they come here and they only have the YouTube experiences, and they only have the crazy podcast stories, and it's like, that's not all of what ayahuasca is about. Like, sure, she can give you nights like you had on Friday, but she can also teach you lessons in like totally different ways that you could do without ayahuasca too. It's like, just decide that you're going to start healing yourself and make the decision, and then see what happens. Like, see what kind of help you get.
Right.
You know?
Right. And in this plant medicine world, I think when that happens to somebody, they come in their first few ceremonies are disappointing to them. There is a lot of like, whether it's put on them by someone else actively or just something that's floating around that they've internalized, that they then put on themselves, almost some blame around that, like, oh, well, you didn't do the diet strongly enough, you didn't prepare enough, and you really committed to the diet. I mean, I remember you telling me what you were doing, like weeks in advance. So you stopped smoking weed for how long?
Pretty much this entire year.
Oh, damn.
So like
that's commitment.
Over 6 months off of that.
Yeah.
You stopped drinking a long time ago. You haven't even been eating salt for like weeks. You've been trying to avoid it. So you really went in and prepared. And I'm just bringing this up because that can happen if somebody doesn't take the diet seriously. Sure, that can affect what happens in ceremony, but that's not always what it is.
Right.
Sometimes the plants just have a plan for you that involves you getting frustrated, that involves you having to really surrender to the unknown and kind of give up that really intense grip you had on like, this needs to fix me, like if this doesn't fix me, what's gonna happen? And I bet that after a couple of times when it wasn't working, you kind of were like, all right, well, fuck it, like, and sometimes that surrender is like the prerequisite to stuff really starting to take off.
Totally.
That's a really good point. Yeah. And it's also a sign of like, maybe you don't, if ayahuasca or whatever is not working with you that way, maybe it's a sign that you have more answers than you think. Because all of us are like grasping for help from external things. It's like, please, like, let this ayahuasca bring me out of my depression. But it's like, maybe you can just do that on your own if she's giving you these other answers. So, okay, I'll let you continue on the rest of your journey. Because after Friday night, you were like, woo, like, this is amazing, and ayahuasca's gonna be like this every time. And we always tell people it's different every time.
Totally. Totally. I totally feel that. Yes. So after that really intense, life-changing ceremony, I thought I had all the answers.
Which you really did.
Yeah.
You really did.
Oh my god. Yeah. It was this feeling of ultimate knowing. I felt like I had figured out the reason why we're here. I felt that if you have a soul, it's almost like not even yours. It belongs to the universe, and the greatest thing that you can do as a human being is to just let it all out, to be every bit of yourself, to share that with anybody and everybody, and to be completely present in all of your experiences. And and it felt really, really good. But then in the days after that, I felt like that magic had worn off almost as quickly as it had come. And that was disheartening. And at that point, I started freaking out a bit more, and I wanted another big cosmic punch in the face. I wanted ayahuasca to tell me that I've been a bad boy and to punish me for maybe not receiving all of the answers and not, following the program and being fixed. I thought I had done something wrong. I thought I had, tasted this thing that I've been searching for all of my life, and it felt like it was just kind of ripped out of my hands. And I was just left with more questions than answers. But I guess what I hadn't realized was that in learning that the most important thing is to accept everything that happens and to trust that it's happening for a reason, I was really precluding myself from the worst of it, which is maybe this isn't the time for you to have that healing. Maybe that there is something more to be learned, and it just didn't really register at that moment, just how closed off I was from the possibility of something like that happening. And so that weekend, because we take a break, and amazingly break dieta for a few days, eat a little bit of salt, eat a little bit of birthday cake, and just process the things that have happened in the 3 ceremonies from the week prior. So I think for a lot of people that was really nice. It was nice to get a break, but for me, I felt like very impatient. I felt like I was waiting just for the next ceremony to happen on Monday. And I felt frozen, just as frozen as I felt before coming in. And I was feeling so much frustration, so much sadness, so much confusion. And when that next ceremony the following Monday came, it was, as you said, very different. And again, nothing really happened. And at that point, I started getting pretty mad at the whole experience. I felt like it was all for naught. I felt like I had made this huge decision to come all the way to Peru to really find some answers, and I wasn't getting them. And I don't know what I was hoping for. I don't know what I was looking for exactly, but I just felt like I hadn't found it. And that was really intense, and I felt super just out of it. I felt like I was shying away from some act of courage or act of bravery that I could have undertaken to really face my fears, but I felt like there was not even anything to face. I wasn't really sure what to face, what kind of fears to lean into. I just couldn't really make sense of anything. It just felt like I was just waiting for it. And then that Wednesday came around, and then again I had an amazing, powerful cosmic experience. And this time it was the most buoyant, exuberant, joyful experience that I didn't know that I needed.
I think your words were like, I was waiting for ayahuasca to slap me, but she's like, dude, you need a hug.
Yeah, right. I was looking for another sock in the jaw, and I think she just embraced me in a way that I really, really needed at that moment. Just to show me that sometimes the most powerful form of healing isn't necessarily jaw-dropping and painful and terrible. It's oftentimes, or it can be a feeling of just immense love and happiness and lightness. And a lot of that definitely had to do with the particular plant that I was dieting at that moment, or during that week, Bobinsana.
Shout out to Bobinsana.
Yeah,
Always
definitely.
deserves a
Yeah,
shout out.
shout out to Bobinsana. And I had moments of loving myself for the first time ever. I went out to the swim deck and I looked at all of the amazing stars that are down here. The lack of light pollution. The moon was just fucking amazing. And I learned the importance of just having fun and really enjoying the moment. And that was super, super powerful, and something that I felt like I hadn't given myself the permission to do in a long time. And yeah, that was cool. And again, I was like, okay, I think I figured it out. And but then in the day after, that disappeared even more quickly than it had the previous time. And I was left with even more frustration, and that felt like shit. So during all of the cool activities that we do here, yoga and breath work, it just all felt like a chore. It all felt like I was kind of doing things around the main point, which was for me just like having as many intense trip-related experiences possible. And I couldn't tell what the connection was between all of this other stuff, you know. And at that point I've been having so many amazing conversations with people, like learning so much, but I felt super disconnected from it. And just through the grace of God, I was able to make it without, completely caving in to the Friday ceremony, which happened a few days ago. And this one was absolutely insane. I was asking for pretty much as much ayahuasca as anyone was willing to give me. Yeah. I was asking for the biggest dose, and at that point I had kind of given up on the therapeutic restorative process that all of this is supposed to be, and I thought to myself, if I'm not really gonna be able to take anything lasting from these experiences, I'm just gonna chase the dragon and just trip as hard as I could possibly trip, and to at least have that experience. And in the magical ways that ayahuasca works, I was warned by every facilitator, hey, you don't know what you might be asking for right now. This is not a joke.
Try to save you from yourself.
Right. And and every single facilitator was like, I feel like this is the night that you're gonna really learn that lesson.
Get your ass handed to you.
And it was weird because I had such a good time in the previous ceremony that not all of that, it was just me just being like, they don't even know what they're talking about. Like, I'm a natural, ayahuasca loves me, I'm a fish in water, I'm just meant to have like just joyous, amazing experiences on ayahuasca. They have no idea. So like, give it to me. And
we don't know what we're talking about.
Right. So Wade gave me, he said he would compromise with me. He said, I'm feeling maybe like a 3/4 cup for you, but I'll give you like a little bit more. And I was like, and okay, fine, I'll take what I can get. And so when we began the ceremony, he was pouring out my dose, and because of some twitch of hand or something like that, he ended up giving me quite a large amount of ayahuasca. I would
like
say.
More than a full cup.
Yeah, more than a full cup.
Like,
and he we held it up to the candlelight, and just like, pretty sure that's essentially a full cup. And Britt was like, this is that's definitely more than a full cup. And for me, I suddenly felt good. I felt like a sense of victory. I was like, yes, like I got what I wanted. So like I pretended to like really whisper my intentions to the cup over. I was just thinking in my head like, fuck yes. I'm gonna drink all of this, and then I'm gonna go back to my mattress, gonna pour some water into the shot glass and get every last drop. So I did that. My cup was completely clean. I got every molecule of ayahuasca.
Oh my God.
I don't even know if I've ever heard of anyone doing that before. That's amazing.
I don't think I have either.
It was like whenever like my mom would give me like cough medicine, she would make me like do that
Clean it out.
just so she wasn't like, I guess, wasting any money. Yeah, and definitely cleaned out the cup. And within 15 minutes, I was in straight DMT world. I was tripping so hard, and even then, it was an amazing little short ride through DMT land. But even at that point, it was kind of overwhelming. And then, out of nowhere, it just ended, and I felt like I had sobered up. I felt like a little bit surprised, but there's always a time for second doses. So I was immediately in my mind thinking of chasing the dragon again. Said, okay, when Wade comes around with the bottle, I'm gonna ask him for a second dose. Went out to the bathrooms to take another profound poop. And it was just a normal run-of-the-mill poop. And
I remember you came out, you're like, no triumph, no sense of victory.
Yeah.
Just a shit.
Yeah, it was just a shit. Flushed it. Didn't feel like I was flushing away any type of negativity or trauma. Yeah. And
just my poop.
Yeah, it was just my poop returning to the earth. So I came back, and I was just I guess I was just feeling pretty light, feeling pretty good, but ultimately, like, I hadn't really taken away anything from that experience again, and I was just gonna just sort it out in the morning, how I feel about all of that stuff. But after maybe 5-10 minutes, as Britt has stated, this is a pretty wavy type of magic, and the second wave came, and it hit very, very hard with immediate evil, sinister, dark overtones, and my brain just started. So I was tripping just as hard as I had been just a little while ago, but it came in the form of demonic images. I was seeing everything was really gray and dark. I was seeing really fucked up images of demons with a million dripping eye sockets that were all empty, and just like weird, messed up creatures. I would see Drew, the other facilitator, kind of walking through the Maloka, checking on people, and then he would disappear, and then appear somewhere else, disappear. Not like in a cool way. It was very frightening. I purged. I threw up into my bucket at one point, and the bucket disappeared. And I felt like I'd just been throwing up on the floor, and I started feeling around for it. And then I only found it again when I just placed my hand in my puke.
Oh, no.
And I heard him because I was sitting on the bed next to him, and I just hear him like purging, and then just, oh shit. And then just purging, and then I was like, oh, Dave's having fun.
Yeah. It was insane. It was insane. I felt like I had really done it. I slowly, I felt my mind slowly disappearing. I started hearing all types of weird voices, murmuring. I would have to open my eyes to look for the source of sound to realize that there was nobody saying anything. I was like whispering weird things to myself, and I felt like I I had actually lost my mind, and I thought I had unlocked some type of latent schizophrenia or something that I had maybe never knew was there, and I felt it full force, and I felt like there was no coming back. I went chasing for the dragon, and the dragon turned around and bit me on the head and was about to swallow me whole, and that was it. I was a goner, and I felt immediate regret for not listening to all of the trusted facilitators and following their loving instructions to tell me to watch my fucking shit, because you don't know what you're asking for. And I felt dumb. I felt terror, sheer terror that I've never felt before in my life. It was the most alone I've ever felt, and I felt like I wanted one of those, the other ayahuasca ceremonies that I had where nothing happened. Like, at that point, that seemed like such a nice nice time. I was like, please, like, help me go back to that. And I knew I couldn't.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah, right. And and I was tripping so hard, and I was so scared, and it wasn't going away, and it was just hours upon hours of just feeling this immense fear. And at one point I was honestly just trying to die. Not like die, but like, you know, the ayahuasca ego death that everyone's talking about. I thought, well, this is it. This is what it's pushing me towards. I think I'm just going to try to lean into it and give myself a chance to be reborn. Like all these things that I've heard on YouTube and have read about, I was like, this is it. This is my moment. If all else fails, I can just die. I can just
Then I'll be doing ayahuasca right.
I'll be doing ayahuasca right. Yeah, I was like, okay, this is what it is. Like,
you died.
Yeah, this is my
A+.
moment to like really fucking do something about like all the stuff that I've been wanting to work on. So I crossed my arms and I closed my eyes, and I was just trying to melt into my mat and disappear. And I thought it was working, and then I would realize I'm still so fucking scared. I'm like, fuck, it's not working. Holy shit. Okay. And I tried to do that, I think, like 4 or 5 times, and it just didn't work. And like the voices in my head were just reaching a deafening pitch. I would look up and I would see like Drew walking around, and he became 50 feet tall, and it like, I think it could have been really cool, but for me it was just a very, very, everything that I saw was so scary. I would open my eyes, scary. I would close my eyes, even scarier. I felt like I was just trapped in this. Like I didn't know that I could feel that fucked up. But I started realizing, like, oh wow, like the things that I thought were really scary before didn't seem so scary at all. And I eventually was able to pry myself off my mat and just go outside to maybe try to force another shit or to just stand there like listening to the deafening sound of insects. And it started to loosen up a tiny bit, and I was, at that point I felt such gratitude that maybe I wasn't completely off the deep end, and that there was a chance to claw my way back to some semblance of reality and sanity. And I felt so thankful for that. I started to feel a lot of gratitude for all of my experiences, and I realized that all those experiences where I felt like nothing was happening was actually teaching me a lesson. I'm still kind of unraveling all of that, but I think it really made me realize that having gratitude for something as like what I thought was a given, just clear given, like my sanity is really important. And I've always known that gratitude is important, but I could never get myself to feel it. And I think being pushed to the brink of destruction was, I guess, what I in particular, like just me, just speaking for myself, needed to really start feeling some gratitude. And it made me super thankful for the really amazing cathartic trips that I've had before, and I think I really needed those. But the moment that tied it all together for me was feeling that tear, and that's not something that I was looking to feel. And I think when it happened, I was really taken by surprise. But I also started to feel like all of the things that I've been telling myself about my depression and my sadness was a sort of performance that I've been putting on for myself to give me some type of out when it came to really doing the hard work of facing my shit, you know. And in giving myself that narrative, it always gave me an excuse for whenever I failed to do the things that really mattered to me most. And when I fell short of my own expectations, it's always because I'm depressed, you know. When I'm not working towards the person that I want to be, it's because I'm sad. And if I have the option to, you know, tell myself that, you know, I'm going to commit suicide or you know, not want to live anymore, it's it makes it easier to not live, you know, not actually do the things that I'm scared to do but want to do. So in that way, I realized I've been like, that's what's really been limiting me, is like the way that I've been talking to myself, the way that I've been kind of orienting myself around everything else. It's just been me kind of having a lot of pity for myself. And I realized, as much as I feel like I've been hurt in life by people or the situations that were given to me, I've also been on the other end of that, and I've hurt people too. And I realized I'm not the victim of my own circumstances, and I've been victimizing myself because things haven't been as tough for me as I think I've wanted to believe. And when I really just felt like everything was over and I was losing my mind, I realized it can be so much worse, and that I have a lot of things that I can be grateful for. And that and it was just the first time I've ever felt that. And I needed to feel all of those other things and go through that frustration of being here for, you know, a little bit and not feeling like anything was really clicking. And then when I lost my mind and got it back, things really started to click. So the gratitude that I began to feel was very unexpected, and it felt real for the first time. And then after that ceremony, I woke up and I didn't necessarily feel too much on either side of whatever spectrum. I didn't feel like too much happiness, like manic happiness, but I didn't feel completely wrecked and depressed. I felt like very centered, and I realized for me that's what I need to really, I don't know, pursue happiness or pursue finding myself as a person, is to be super centered as much as possible, and that was something that lasted. And so finally I at this point feel that progress, and that's something that didn't just suddenly disappear in the day after. And I feel like I'm finally growing and healing, and it all came in the darkest hour, in the moment that I least expected it, because I thought it would just be sunshine and roses and meeting God and this and that, and all of that happened to me. But when I felt like I was gonna fall into the darkness, that's when that's when I started to see the light. So
I think you also were expecting it to be difficult in some ways, because like a little while ago, I didn't want to stop you because you were on a roll there, but a little while ago when you were talking about your second Wednesday ceremony, you were talking about, nothing, or maybe it was Monday. You're like, nothing was happening, and I felt like I should be facing my fears, having these tough ayahuasca ceremonies people talk about, but I didn't even know what fears to face.
Yeah.
When really, like, that whole time, you were facing your fears, because in that moment, in these moments since you've been here, your greatest fear has been, what if this doesn't work?
Right.
What if nothing happens?
Right.
And so the medicine gave you that fear to face in, like, reality, not in a trip where you see this personification of your fear and you have to punch him in the stomach or whatever. Like, you literally were experiencing that fear of, fuck this, I don't think this is working. I don't think this is going to work. Now this is ceremony number 4 and nothing's happened. That was you facing that great fear. And like we were talking about at the beginning, for things to get cleared out, they have to be brought up to the surface sometimes. Sometimes you have to feel that emotion for it to be coming out of you. Right. And on Friday, when you had that really intense ceremony, like you were saying when you were just describing it, you were feeling a lot of fear. And did it really even feel like, I mean, you said a few things, but I don't know, I'm guessing, and from what you said to me before, a lot of that fear just seemed like this nameless fear. Just the emotion of fear, without even a thing you can point to and be like, I'm afraid of that.
Right.
Well, maybe that's a lot of the fear that's been stuck in you, and fear also around this not working out, coming up and getting cleaned off. You might have just pooped a lot of it out, because now, do you feel as afraid that this isn't going to work out, or do you feel a lot more at peace about it?
I feel a lot more at peace about it.
Right, right. So that kind of, that feeling of terror, this is, like, that could just be that feeling of it leaving you. And now some of it's gone. And the one other thing that I wanted to say was, I think, it's such a thing. People want to be happy, we're all chasing happiness. And constant, joyful happiness, that's like a psychotic break. That's like mania. Yeah. What really, I at least am trying to pursue more now, and this isn't even, honestly, the medicine's helped me get to this place, but this is more from a really good, very, very wise friend of mine, Alex, who's helped me realize that, the thing that I want to be chasing more is peace. Not necessarily happiness all the time, but if my baseline can be peace, that is a real place to be. And it sounds like that's what you woke up with on Saturday morning, is not the, oh my God, great, everything's going to be perfect and everything's fine and I'm fixed and everything's awesome, and not, oh no, this is fucked, what's the point, everything's fucked up, but okay, yeah, I'm here and we're gonna see what happens. Like in your time at Dreamglade, but also in life. Right. Thank you, Britt, and thanks ayahuasca, and thanks Dreamglade for handling my friend like this, because this is this sounds like you've just had like I couldn't have gone possibly better. And we should mention this is Dave's second week of 3. Yeah. So this is the end of Act 2, and things are really in a good place. And very excited to see what happens next.
And I felt to say, it's so funny, Ben, because I literally said the same thing to you after the Monday night ceremony, because So we come into Share Circle on Tuesday after you'd had this crazy night on Friday that was so amazing. You got all the answers and you understood that everything's a miracle and we should just be grateful to be alive.
Yeah.
And then on Monday night, you got nothing, quote unquote.
Right.
And then on Tuesday morning Share Circle, you were like really fucking depressed looking. Like you were just like, fuck all of this. Like it didn't work, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I was just like, you were like, I just really wanted a hard night. And I'm like, that was the hardest night that you could have gotten was nothing.
Yeah.
Like that was your tough night.
Right.
Because now you're looking at like, okay, we gave you all the answers. Now what? Now what are you going to do if you don't have help from this external source? Are you going to sit there and be grateful for the ceremony and the touch of your blanket and taking a poop even if it's not profound? Or you're going to like sit there and like and be pissed about it because ayahuasca is not coming to you. And it's like, I feel like, again, like just like what you said, that's exactly what I said. I'm like, that was your hardest night. I mean, up until that point, it was like, that's it. That's what we're looking at here. What are you going to do when you don't have ayahuasca? Because you can't just, I mean, none of us are looking to have a crutch.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to depend on something else to, like, get us feeling good.
Right.
So she's like, what are you going to do without me?
Right.
And you're like, be really depressed.
Right. Yeah, totally. Right. Just continuing my fears of falling into old patterns. And that fear of falling into old patterns made me fall into my old patterns even harder.
Yes.
And what a lesson, because isn't that what happens in the day-to-day?
Yeah.
Right? Isn't the fear of the fear of staying depressed, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of today not being the day that you figure something out or that you make a great song. Dave's an awesome musician, by the way. That you figure something out, or you make a great song, or you do this, like that fear a lot of times is what stops you from even having the chance to do any of those things. And
so true.
Damn.
And yeah, I think that's pretty funny. You sitting there being like afraid that nothing is going to work and being like, fuck, I should be facing my fears right now. God damn it. I'm so afraid that I'm losing time, but I should be facing my fears. It's like that is your fear right there.
Yeah.
Very clearly.
Yeah.
And like so many people, this is just so many people, probably everyone is just like afraid to feel and afraid to take risks. And at the end of your life, you, like, I've seen so many older people interviewed, it's like they regret the things they didn't do. Like they regret not taking bigger risks because they were afraid. And I think a lot of us are looking for like a permission slip to feel, or like a permission slip to like go do something, or we're just straight up afraid to feel. Right. Like feeling can be so scary that you just like turn it off and you're like, no, I don't want to feel anything. Right. So it's like when you're afraid to feel, then you're not really living the full human experience. But I've loved seeing your whole journey so far, because it's like textbook. It's just like you've had all of the things happen. You've had quote unquote nothing. You've had like the blissful one. You've had like the whole universe, and then you've had just fucking fear. Yeah. And I personally was just waiting for you to have that fear one, because you kept being like, I don't know, like I kind of want to have ayahuasca smack me, and I'm like, you don't though, because you don't know what that is. But I also get it, because until you see it, how could you know? Right. Yeah. Right. And it sounds like that's actually exactly what you needed to get a little fucking bitch slap. Yeah.
So, in a way, you were right wanting that. That is what you wanted and what you needed.
Exactly.
It's not pleasant. I think you found out just how unpleasant it is. But
ayahuasca,
you knew,
undefeated.
A part of you knew that was what you needed. I have a funny and interesting question for you. Do you know how much you're going to ask for tomorrow?
I'm gonna.
Oh my god! I know what he's gonna say.
I'm gonna ask for 3/4. I think I'm gonna ask for a little bit less. But maybe possibly enough to show me something that I'm not aware of yet. But
that sounds
just
like a
going
great
in
intention.
with the utmost respect. Please, Mother Ayahuasca, be
yes.
a little bit more gentle.
Don't pretend to say your intention again. I would like to give you advice. Say your actual intention. I think that's a really good one. I would hang on to that one, and I think that's a really good one for you. But I think you're ready for that one. But no, I asked that both because it was kind of a funny question, but also because I think that there's something in there to pay attention to, which is you could look at you asking for a lot and then getting just your ass kicked as like a mistake. But you could also look at it as that was your instinct, and your instinct was right. And that doesn't necessarily mean that every ceremony you should be asking for like more than a full cup.
Yeah.
I would just, if you can remember, and maybe you won't be able to remember from right now, it'll take it happening again, and then as you feel this, being like, oh, that's how it felt before, what that felt like in you of having that realization, or that feeling of like, I'm going to drink this much. Not, because again, after this next week, it's not going to help you that much figuring out how much ayahuasca you're going to drink, so you won't be drinking ayahuasca every other day. But of trying to learn what intuition feels like. Because knowing you and knowing where a lot of it was coming from with, you know, wanting to chase the dragon, as you said, and being fed up, like, a lot of the impulse to drink was noise in your head. But there was some of it that was your actual intuition. And really being able to learn what that feels like when you have an intuitive feeling is such a valuable experience. It's one that I think, you know, at least for me, I'm definitely still working on learning, but I've gotten a lot better about it, of just trying to pinpoint that feeling, because it can really help you get great experiences, and it can also save you from other ones. And even if it doesn't make sense sometimes, I try and listen to that feeling when it feels like that actual feeling of like, yeah, I don't know why, but maybe I'm not going to go to this place I was planning on going today. I don't know why. And I maybe never find out why that helped. But if it feels that way, like, I try and listen to it more. So that was you having an intuitive feeling, because that was what you needed. And I think you got a confirmation that was right when the bottle slipped or whatever, and he ended up pouring you.
Slight tip of the hand.
Yeah, it's like,
you know, more than he would have given you. That was, you know, whatever, the medicine of the universe being like, yep, you were right
It
about
was
that
so
one.
funny because it just tapped out like boop, and me and Wade just looked at each other, and then me and Dave looked at each other. I'm like, well, I guess he's getting what he wanted.
It's you were just like, oh shit,
It's happening.
He's getting what he wants.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm getting what I
having
want.
That,
Yes.
that S&M experience with ayahuasca that I've been asking for.
Yeah.
Punched in the face.
S&M. And sometimes ayahuasca does that. She just like jumps out of the bottle, and it's just like, oh well, this is happening. And I love that you just brought that up, because so many people ask me like, and I hate this question because it's so simple, but it's like, what's the biggest thing you've learned since you've been working there and from ayahuasca? And I'm like, that's a really fucking hard question. But if I had to boil it all down to one thing, it would be that. Like, it would be trusting my intuition and learning what that is. Because not just ayahuasca, but all of plant medicine, and then even expanded beyond that, it's like all of the work I've done on myself, meditation, yoga, breathwork, like whatever. It's just like all getting me closer to, we have all the answers. There is something in us trying to like guide us. And whether you're spiritual or not, it's like, let's just call that your higher self or your intuition. Like, we have that, it's there, but it's just been so suppressed, and we just don't even listen to it anymore. Sometimes we're just like, fuck that, I'll just do this other thing because it's more comfortable, or like, I'm not going to listen to that because it's irrational. But over time you just learn to like hone it in, like you were saying, what does that actually feel like, and then what happens when I ignore it, and what happens when I listen to it, and then just kind of like learning to listen to that.
Yeah, I think it's been suppressed in everybody, but especially people like the three of us who have gone through periods in our lives where we've dealt with a lot of depression, because part of at least my depression, and I think both of yours as well, has been really doubting myself and really thinking I'm worthless, I'm an idiot, I'm a piece of shit, everything I do is trash. And that's like makes it so that anytime you have even a blink of intuition, you don't trust it. You just go, the decisions that I make all end up, in disaster. And unlearning that and learning to have that discernment of what is the intuition and what is just a thought, or what is just my routine, or what is the voice in my head that is my depression that's kind of guiding me the wrong way still, is such a valuable lesson to take. And, over the time of doing this type of stuff, it's like, I realized, like, you don't always get those really important lessons in this, plants that you're hallucinating open up, and as an ex-guest would have said, like, the lady comes out and just gives you the answer on a platter. Sometimes, like, learning those lessons comes from these, like, weird other happenings that happen around ceremony or completely unrelated to this. So something that seems kind of trivial or funny in retrospect of like, oh, I was asking for all this ayahuasca and everyone told me not to, but I said, yes, give it to me anyway. And then I had this hardcore experience that actually ended up being the one that's given you some lasting feeling of peace.
Right.
Like, that's maybe the first little seed in you learning how to listen to the intuitive voice that you definitely have.
Right.
And it's also that you handled that so well. Like, I mean, it's part of the reason we were okay, like, with giving you full cup is because we trusted you and, like, how you'd react on the medicine. We're like, this guy can handle it. Like, even if she absolutely kicks his ass and annihilates him, which she did, you still were fine and you still did great. Like, you still just went through the experience. You know, you're trying different things, trying to die, trying to shit it out. Like, I'm like, I've been there where you're just, like, trying all these tricks to, like, get out of the fear.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, bitch, you're staying in it.
Right.
Because this is yours.
Right.
Like, this is the fear that has been holding you back. You're going to feel every ounce of it because that's the only way through is to feel it.
Yeah.
And you can't, like I've said to a million other people here, I'm like, if there's any other way, please let me know. I haven't found it yet, but that would be great. But, like, as far as I know, you have to fucking feel it on the way out.
Yeah.
That's the only way. And people are like, but there's got to be some other, like, I have to feel. No, you have to feel the fear.
Right.
And it's going to feel like you can't do anything to make yourself feel better because fear is just so uncomfortable.
Right.
And it does make you feel you're going fucking insane. And then when you are no longer in this fear bubble, it's like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt every bit of it, and when I got out of it, it was just definitely I was left with a feeling of peace. And
that makes me very happy because we haven't really caught up about all this. I've been, you know, we've had conversations, but I haven't, like, checked in to see, like, how you're actually feeling at this point in the process. But I'm like, seems to me like you're in a really good spot, really fucking good spot.
Yeah.
And we've still got a week to go. Like, I think even if you left today, you'd probably have all the tools you needed.
Right.
So
Right.
that's good. And she might give you another ceremony where she's like, what about nothing again?
Yeah.
What's she gonna do?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna be like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna sit here and be depressed and need an external answer, or am I gonna be grateful for every single little thing that's going on?
Yeah.
It's your choice.
I'm definitely grateful to, if that's what happens, then I'm there for it.
Yeah. She might give you another one that's just as hard as Friday in a different way.
Yes.
She might give you another, like, just one that's amazing in a different way than the different ones you've had.
Right.
But I think that if she gives you one that's really hard again, the reason why you'll have gotten that in this order is because you'll have needed the things that you've already learned to handle how difficult whatever comes up next is. If you get another difficult one, you might not.
Right.
Right.
But if you do, remember those things you've learned in those moments as much as you can. Remember the gratitude. Remember that you're not a victim. Remember the things that have happened, because the order is always important. If things start getting sketchy in there again, remember, like, I'm experiencing this now because the medicine knows that I'm ready for this now. I've been prepared. I've been given the tools that I needed. Just like you were given the tools you were needed to handle Friday. You were given the tools of those ceremonies where nothing happened for you to be like, fuck, I wish I could just be normal.
Yeah.
I wish I could just be okay. Like,
Right,
you know,
right.
if that happened on
Right.
your first ceremony, you
Right.
wouldn't have had anything to compare it to.
Right.
True.
Right.
And I think she tests you too. And this is just like life, right? Like, even for people listening who are never going to do ayahuasca, it's like, this is also what life does sometimes, where you learn a lesson and you think you learned it, and then something comes along and you totally forget about that lesson. You just, like, it's not even in your consciousness. You go about life and then you're like, oh fuck, I didn't learn from that.
Right.
So I think ayahuasca sometimes does that, where she'll be like, did you learn from this?
Right.
And if you do, it's awesome and you're proud of yourself. And if you don't, then it's also fine, because you realize, like, oh, I didn't integrate this.
Right.
Like, I didn't fully get it until now.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think I had the misconception of having tools as just having, like, I don't know, something like some type of preordained mantra or phrase or something that I could just go to in every single little situation. Like, I'd have some type of response for it. And now I'm realizing and learning that having the tools to deal with whatever comes is something that's a bit more malleable. It's something that comes from within, and it might be something more like a feeling or intuition versus like, oh, this dragon came up, I have a sword. Oh, this ghost came up, I have like a cross. You know, it's like it's something that you kind of have within you and kind of apply to different situations. And for me, they came in the form of like moments of realization, and my tools are being able to think back to those moments of learning versus like having like something very concrete that I can just fall back on. And I think that's in a lot of ways better because it makes everything more versatile, and it means that those tools are somewhere within me. It's not like an external thing. It's like a state of mind.
Exactly.
And it's like having learned lessons is a tool in itself.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're right. And when you say you were thinking about them as if they could be just like a mantra or something like that, or just a thing, if you boil down those experiences that you're saying are the tools that you've had, like those past experiences, there is something like a mantra or just one thing at the core of it, right? Gratitude, acceptance.
Right.
Those are the tools.
Right.
And we all have those in us at all times.
Yeah.
We all have that sword or that whatever. It's a thing of our experiences upgrading the sword, you know, to +2, +3, and us being able to use it better. Like in terms of a mantra, a mantra I use all the time when I drink ayahuasca is whatever happens, happens. Right? That's acceptance. Whatever happens, happens. If nothing happens to me tonight, if I don't feel anything, that's what was supposed to happen tonight. If I have a terrifying experience, that was what was supposed to happen tonight. If I have just a completely weird, bizarre, hilarious night, that was what was. If my hand somehow ends up in my vomit bucket, like whatever happens, happens, man. You know. And that those trite cliche things like gratitude, acceptance, love, those are the tools. It's just that if I were to tell you those are the tools that are going to help you the day that you arrived here before you drank, you can't, they're not upgraded enough for you to really be able to use them. And the only thing that can strengthen them and sharpen them to the level that you can really use them effectively is your own experience. And that's what I mean by like, the order is important. You're never going to get an experience from ayahuasca if it's a drink in a good place, in a good situation with good curanderos holding things down that you're not ready for. And she will wait until those tools have been upgraded enough for you to slay whatever dragons you get thrown your way.
Damn.
Wow. For sure.
And there was this guy, Nick, who was here last week, and he had a great mantra. He's like, because he's also gone through the shit that we've gone through. Depression, not knowing tools, whatever. And he's like, I just had this mantra pop up, which is like, what if it's all fine?
It's a good one.
And I was like, I really like that. He's just like, what if it's just like all fine? What if it's all okay? Like, what if everything that's happening is fine? Instead of what maybe our depressed minds were thinking, which was like, what if it's not? What if everything I do is going to fuck everything up? What if it's none of it's, but what if it's fine? And it's, I mean, there's, like you said, there's a million mantras. It is what it is. It's Stace's favorite. It's what happens, happens. I mean, you can have your own, but I think all the cliches are, Stace used to call me bumper sticker Brett because I just like talk in phrases and quotes and stuff. But there's a reason for that. I'm like, we already know everything. And as Nick said, there's nothing that there's nothing I can say that Jesus hasn't said. I was like, yeah, because we know all of the stuff. It's about love, it's about gratitude, it's about acceptance, but you don't actually get it until you've like experienced it. And yeah, ayahuasca's been doing a great job of showing you what those tools look like, how you can use them.
I think it's worth going on a very, very brief little tangent on cliches, though, because what my acting teacher / director in high school, shout out Josh Adele, would say is it's only a cliche because it's true. And if you really let that sink in and allow yourself to internalize that, it's just going to actually help you out so much because we're tricked into putting up this like barrier of like ickiness when we hear these things that sound cliched or trite. But sometimes those really are the truest things. And I think it would be so much like if we didn't have that in our society of this like kind of sneering at these things that have become cliches, maybe we wouldn't need to like drink these like, you know, bitter substances that make us throw up and shit all over the place, or hopefully not all over the place, hopefully just in the toilet, but shit a lot. If we could just have accepted that earlier, you know, it's like there's this unlearning of this aversion we have towards cliches.
That's such a good point, because I remember saying to Drew the other week, like, I was like, the truth will set you free. And I didn't even want to say it because I was like, okay, this is a cliche, but I just realized how fucking true it is. Like, I said that to Drew, like, the truth will set you free. I didn't realize how powerful that is. And he just stops in his tracks. He's like, if people really understood how powerful that is, like, it would change everything. And it just made me stop, and I was like, whoa, you're right. Like, these little things we just say, we don't stop and think about, like, the truth will set you free. Like, holy shit. What if that was really fucking true?
Right.
I always talk about my guy, Chris Ryan, who wrote this book called Sex at Dawn. And in Sex at Dawn, his hypothesis basically is that civilization is this superorganism that we're like little cells in. And it's moving on its own trajectory and doing its own thing that we don't even really have that much control over, and that a lot of times isn't really in our best interest. And in a way, it almost seems like that idea of turning some of the most important and deep truths into these things that we recoil at is almost like that superorganism's like a defense mechanism it has to keep every cell in line, to keep it so that, you know, we're still doing its thing instead of actually doing our own thing and doing the things that feel good to us. It's such a weird, insidious trick that a lot of times when we hear these things, love is the most important thing, or gratitude can cure anything, any, you know, negative thing that you're feeling. Like, we hear those things, we go, oh God, fuck off. Like, I don't even want to think about that, let alone try it. But those are actually the answers. Like, it's such a weird trick that that's been played on us. It's crazy that some of the things that would actually fix things, we like recoil at.
Yeah. I think it's so cheesy and not helpful.
Yeah, it's really strange.
That kind of makes sense, because you assume that the thing that you're going through is so like almost like unique and your own, and that you're alone in it, and what could someone say to you that would fix your thing, because what you feel is so new, and these cliches are so overused. But it's like when you kind of see that we are all so connected in so many ways, and especially in the things that we're going through, it kind of takes a lot of the pressure off yourself to I don't know, like, fix this new unknown problem that is just yours, and it's the first time that anyone has ever felt the thing that you're going through, and it's like,
and nobody could possibly understand.
Right. And that the only way that you can have some type of uniqueness is through your pain and suffering. But when you realize that we are all feeling similar things, and if it becomes easier to do whatever, you know, use cliches, like read through really famous texts by really good and smart intellectual thinkers. Like
listen to Alan Watts.
Yeah, listening to Alan Watts.
Reading Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, it's like when you realize that it's easier than you might think to connect over your suffering and to kind of work through it. That's when you're really free to be your most truest, authentic, unique self. Like, it's like not your suffering that makes you the most special person. It's like getting through it and then living your best life. And like David Lynch talks about how, like, as a creative and as an artist, you know, with him kind of producing the work that he has, you might think that he's really into his own suffering, but he's very adamantly against that, and he's opposed to it because he talks about how having that depression keeps you from expressing your highest self, and like being super super lost in that is actually a huge barrier to creative success. And now that I'm here and learning the lessons that I'm learning, that resonates with me more than it did before, because it did when I first heard it, but it makes a lot of sense. It's like give into whatever is there to help you get through whatever you're getting through, so that you can live your best life and be your best self and express yourself at the highest level.
It's like
100%.
That's so true. It's just like we were talking about yesterday, when like I've been through the same thing where I was like, no one can understand my pain, and and it made me feel lonely, and but it also made me feel special, and it made me feel like no one can understand what I'm going through. Like no one can give me a poster and say attitude is everything. Like fuck that. They don't understand the depths of my pain, the depths of the hopelessness and despair that I'm feeling is way worse than anybody around me, and that makes me special. And that should give me, and I realized that, like, and we already talked about this yesterday, but like I realized that that's something I was doing to get attention and to get love. And I didn't know that I could be loved for being like the best version of me. So it's not to say like there's not some awesome stuff that happens with suffering, because there is. Like we have to go through the pain and the suffering and feel all of that stuff, but you can also allow yourself to feel the joy and the happiness, and then like you don't even know what's going to happen after that, which a lot of people are afraid of. They're like, what's this life going to look like if I'm actually fucking happy and living my fullest potential? It's like, it feels so much better than you could ever imagine, because you're no longer stuck. You're no longer like in your own pit of despair. You're free. You're fucking free.
I think in a roundabout way, I've learned that I think I was, in addition to the fear of nothing happening, I think I was also really scared of actually healing and what that might do, to my sense of self. And everything that I've learned to think about myself has been built on a lot of negative self-talk. And if I'm not treating myself in that way, what's going to happen? And I think that's just, it's so contrary and it makes no sense, but I think I was just so comfortable in not giving myself a chance. And I don't know, that's that's so weird.
We hear that a lot. People they don't even realize that they're afraid of healing, but they are, because they've identified so much with being this quote unquote unhealed person. This person in pain. It's like like we always talk about here, but people are more likely to want to stay in their comfort zone, even if it's hell. They'd rather stay in hell than the unknown. Because people are so afraid of the unknown. But that's the same thing with healing. It's like what you just said. And a lot of people have that one.
In addition to all the other great things that can happen around healing depression and cleaning off the fear once it gets brought up to the surface, like we've talked about, one of the great things that this work does is you get to experience going into the unknown and see what happens. Right? Your experience of coming here has been you taking a big leap into the unknown. And then on a more micro level, every single time you go in there and drink, that's taking a leap into the unknown. And so far you've seen that going into the unknown, it's a risk. It can bring you great things. It can bring you uncomfortable things. But overall, that you've already felt it start to change you. And it's going into the unknown and stepping out of that comfort zone. That's kind of the only thing that I can think about, pretty much period, that really is how someone changes, is stepping out of their comfort zone. And this is practice. This is practice for the unknown of actually being not depressed Dave, of taking off the mask that you've built yourself and that you've been wearing, of depressed Dave, because you are afraid of what people will think, what you'll think if you see yourself in the mirror without that mask on. You don't know what'll happen if you start walking around in the world without that mask on. But this is training for facing the unknown, for things being different.
Shit.
Yeah.
Man, you've been doing some really, really good work, and
Thank you.
I know that you give me a lot of props for encouraging you to do it, but I just want to remind you that it's been all you. It's been, you're the one who's doing it. You're the one who made the decision to come here. And we didn't quite go into this at the beginning when we were going chronologically through your story, but I'd mentioned ayahuasca to you years ago, and you were like, I can't do it. No way. I don't want to do that. One of the things you said to me was like, I feel like I won't be able to be good at making music if I'm not better, and I was like, okay, we'll let this one, we'll let this one sit. We'll let this one go. And over time, you've gotten more and more ready to take those steps into the unknown, more and more ready to start changing, more and more ready to take that mask off, even if you didn't really understand exactly what it was you were getting ready for,
Right.
Until some of the ceremonies that you've had now where you've had these realizations. And that progress has all been yours. I can't take credit for that and would never take credit for that at all. And I hope that, you can do it today, but I hope especially when you leave, you really give yourself a pat on the back for sticking it out and being brave enough to do all of the, not just get on the plane, but or drink the glass, but all of the little things that it took to get here. You've done with a huge load on your back, and that's something to really be proud of.
Huge load on the back.
Had to take it there. You had to take it there.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Very proud of you.
I'm also super proud of you, and
Thank
it's
you.
been so awesome watching you go through all these steps. And like I said, I know we're only 2/3 of the way there, but I would feel good about everything you've done, even if you left today.
For
You
sure.
you keep impressing me, and you're so hilarious to talk to, especially right after a ceremony when you're like, oh my god, the dentist, how amazing. Parking tickets, wow. It was just so great. And I'm excited to see where the rest of this takes you, but thanks for sharing your story.
Thank
And
you.
I
Thank you for
think it's
having us.
it's such a good picture of what goes on here and all the
Yeah.
different experiences you could have and
Right.
and all that. So you're
Yeah.
doing fucking great. We're so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining.
Love you too, Britt.
Yeah, thanks
Love
for
you,
having
Ben.
us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks
Peace,
for listening.
everybody. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace, love, and gratitude.
So cliche.
So